Hey, Keith, and hey out there to everyone that's out there listening. I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and I hope that everyone's having a blessed day. So today, me and Keith are going to be discussing the freedom that these kids are showing nowadays. Okay, that's the way I see it. We're going to hear what Keith thinks. But what we're talking about is basically how the young men and the young women are dressing today. You know, they express themselves through their hair, through the way that they speak, all the way down to their clothes. And me, personally, I love it because it was once upon a time in my life where I felt boxed in. I could only do what I see is being done. So this is why I love it so much, because I love the kids being able to express themselves all the way from wearing green hair to blue hair to purple hair, from the men wearing tight pants to what some of us might call skirts, okay? So, as I said before, I'm an advocate believer in people being free to express who they are, no matter what that looks like. So when I see these youngsters out here dressing the way they dress, like I said, I don't have a problem with it. I actually am intrigued by it, and I love it, because to me it's an expression of freedom, an expression of who they truly are, not who we want them to be, not who we're trying to train them to be, but who they are. And that part, my friends, I cannot get enough of. So, Keith, I want to ask you a question. How do you feel about this new age dressing and how the youngsters are expressing themselves nowadays? Like, we have Jada Pickett's son, who lets everybody know that he is not bisexual, nor is he gay, that he's a straight man, but yet you can find him in a skirt sometimes, you know? And I can't even knock that, because sometimes he looks pretty cool. I'll be like, all right, young man. So now, as a man, though, what do you think about that?
I think as a man, it's very unusual.
And
he is taking it to what I call close to the very extreme when it comes to his self-expression. However, he's in what I call a unique position, because most young people, and when I say young people, I mean enough to either have graduated high school or start really figuring out what it is you're going to be doing and saying to the world. He is in a position, because of his connections with his family, self-employed. He is in a position where he has already made and continues to make enough money where he can express himself through his dress, through his hairstyle, through his who he wants to associate with, any way he wants to, because he's not beholden to creating a look that is going to fit into someone's job. He doesn't need to do that to be able to make money. So he's in a very, very unique position. Most kids are not like that. Most kids have, at most, maybe a couple years before somebody who may be supporting them is going to say, you know, look, you gave it a shot. I can't keep, co-signing and supporting you year after year with this look, because people that I know who would hire you will not hire you with this look. And you're not able to figure out how to make this look pay for itself. Jaden Smith has. Most kids, past a certain point, you have to decide. Are you going to be self-employed, or are you going to work for somebody else? And that will depend on the amount of self-expression you can give.
Yes, I love that answer, and I love that perspective, because we do have to take all accounts in consideration, right? You know, some of us, depending on our professions, we do have to carry ourselves a certain way. We do have to, sometimes, for a lack of a better way to put it, we have to mask up. It might not be genuinely who you are, but you got to meet the quota, you got to meet the needs, right? So I do understand that. But one of the things that I absolutely love is the fact that they have the gall to do it. Because I can remember going to school in bell bottoms when I was a little one, and bell bottoms wasn't quite in. That was like in my daddy's time, and then now my granny sending me to school with bell bottoms, and everybody laughing and pointing at me, you know. But I liked them bell bottoms. I thought they were pretty cool. So the fact that kids can dress how they want to dress and not care about what someone else thinks, or if someone else is laughing, almost to the point to where they have changed the whole trajectory of things. Like when you go to the mall now, you see more of their stuff than we do the old school stuff. Like when me and my husband is shopping, first thing you say, I don't like them old tight-fitting pants. So we have to really look high and low to find what he likes, because they don't even really make it like that anymore in bulk anymore, because these young kids are just changing the game. And so to me, I love it because it's like, I just love that freedom. Now, like you said, Jaden was to the extreme. But what about these guys that's wearing like the tight pants and then they pull their socks over the pants and they playing with all of these different colors and different things? Heck, they even wearing bags now, right? You know, where they do the purses, but they call it a man purse, you know? So now that, like I said, 20, 25 years ago, you couldn't do that without being labeled, okay? And so this is what I found extraordinary about that, you know? So let's just talk about it from that perspective, from the perspective of these kids just really showing who they are. Let's just say it's not a certain job that they're trying to get, you know. Do you think that it's making the boy, it's taking their masculinity away from them, perhaps? That's a lot of the conversation. A lot of people feel like that they're turning the men into women, you know. I don't quite feel like that. Now, you know, you're going to always have your followers. Like, it's a lot of people that's just doing it because that's what they see, too. A lot of people are not doing it because they prefer to do it, but they're doing it because this is what everybody else is doing. We still deal with a lot of that. But those that are changing the game, those that are not afraid to step out and stand out, what do you say about those people?
Well, what happened when computers started getting smaller and they started to be able to write programs to do things, and then the internet kind of came after that. It enables people to kind of spread a message, whether it was visual, whether it was audio, whether it was music, whether it was a point of view with conversation. It allowed them to spread that message and see if that message connected with people. And if it did, they might start trying to interact with those people and become part of that circle, become part of that family, become part of that clique, where when everybody was independent without that type of marketability, you had to find that maybe that clique or that circle within where you live or where you went to school. And that might have been very difficult, especially if you really, really wanted to be different. That's why a lot of kids that are different, the minute they got out of high school, they hightailed it out of that community where they were in, because they felt they didn't fit in and they didn't want to compromise. So they wanted to go to where they might fit in or find a clique of people who thought like that, and they wanted to be with them. And then they wanted to try to see, well, what are these people doing? Are these people trying to work in a certain industry where this look is accepted? Are they trying to be independent? Are they making the kind of money that I think that I like? Do I have what it takes to do what they do? Are they going to mentor me? See, all those things kind of come into play. All we see kind of from the kids is maybe the conclusion. I'm always fascinated if I can talk to a kid. I want to see what they have to say about how they dress. And sometimes what they have to say is fascinating.
It is very.
Watching the look that they created, because they have something behind that. It's just that a lot of people, especially older people of a different generation, they are not interested to ask. But if somebody from another generation like mine does ask, frequently they don't mind saying, and I definitely don't mind listening.
I know that's right. I love it. That's another thing. A lot of them, they are, just because they dress and all different and all over the place, they're still well spoken and still carry themselves very well. And, you know, me personally, I admire it. You know, I can't say that enough. And I just hear a lot of people. The reason why I wanted to have this conversation is because I do see and hear a lot of people putting these youngsters down with the way they carry themselves and the way they dress. Whereas all I can see is we're finally getting to a place where people are getting outside of their box and coming out of their shell and being who they are. You know, we are all meant to be unique. We are all meant to be different in some kind of way. And I just think that society has a way on beating up on anything that's different. anything that's doing something other than what the majority is doing. So the fact that these kids are stepping outside the box and tackling this thing, I love it. Now everything has its upsides and everything has its downsides. We know that. With everything going around with the sexuality. So I know it's a lot of fear when you see your young son or, your loved one dressing in tighter jeans or perhaps, wearing a male bag. You think like, he needs to know that he's still a man. But from my perspective and from what I've noticed, a lot of them still know they are a man. And they are not intimidated. They don't feel like because my pants might be a little tighter, or perhaps I even shop in the ladies' aisle now, that does not mess with my masculinity. And I think I can appreciate that, because those things to me does not depict their masculinity. It's just a form of art, if you will. Just the same way you would take a pen to some canvas or a paintbrush to some canvas. I think that's a way to show your artsy side, the way you dress, the way you might wear your hair. And again, making sure it doesn't go against your, like if you have a certain career, that you have to carry yourself a certain way, at least while at work or when dealing with your work family. But outside of that, I think you should be able to do whatever you want. You have a lot of guys now and women that's putting tattoos everywhere. Like I can remember when us women, we would get a tattoo on our arm, like our little wrist or something, or maybe our chest, somewhere that you can kind of cover up. Well, now they putting a whole tattoo on their side, you know what I mean? And they put tattoos on their face and put tattoos on their neck. And they're not caring what people think. They're just trying to make the statement that they're trying to make. And I don't know why, but I really appreciate that. So I just wanted some other perspectives. And please, you guys that's listening, please tune in. Let us know what you think. Let us know your perspective and how you feel about it. Like we said, we want to talk about the upsides and the downsides. But right now, all I can see is the upside, because I'm just fascinated by these little ones. And I even see, I keep saying the youngsters, but I even see older people doing it now. Where they're just dressing differently. They're expressing themselves and trying new things, and I just think it's such a beautiful, beautiful thing. So, now let's talk to the downside. So, Keith, we already spoke about one, which is sometimes it could get in the way of your profession, because you go in these places with the pink and the purple hair or the different hairstyles and stuff, and then, that might cost you your position, right? So.
Well, hold on. You said a lot.
Okay.
Let's not even take it to working with someone. Let's go back to, as you say, the young people. What's one unique characteristics about young people? Somebody else is supporting them and paying the bills for a period of time. How long that period of time, I guess that depends on how much you're blessed. But the thing I look at when I look at them, I'm looking at them either from an independent point of view or a creativity point of view. I think you basically, and tell me if I'm wrong, are so fascinated by it because you, and I know you a little bit, are a very creative person. And that is a creation, that's an artistic expression.
Yes.
That creativity. And they're doing
Yes.
it with themselves as opposed to doing it with a pen, with a pad, with a paintbrush, with a logo, with some graphics. They're doing that with
Yes.
their own body and what they're
They're
wearing.
using their selves as a canvas, yes.
Where I don't look at it that way. I look at it more logical point of view. And I want to be able to see if they have a plan for how to commercialize their image, commercialize what they say they're trying to express so that they can be independent to the point that they're never going to work for anybody else. That this is what they're going to do. That this is going to somehow turn into a money-making independent venture. And they're going to carry it through. But we're both looking at it as something that can be positive, that has nothing to do with working for somebody else. Because depending on relative talent, you can be accepted with all sorts of dress and all sorts of style and color. It depends on what it is you're doing. Are you so unique? Are you so talented that even though you're working for somebody else, that look is accepted? And what is one of the areas where that is accepted in the field of entertainment. Whether you're an actor, whether you are a comedian, your look basically is part of who you are. And if you're talented enough, very few people are going to tell you that look is not acceptable, because you have created within yourself an entity that is so accepted by such a large group that you make money. You make money for a person who's much more conservative than you, who would never accept your look if you were working for them, but you're not working for them. You're working with them. And they know that your look makes you and them money. So they're going to accept it all day long.
Yes, I would agree. This is true. That is so true. That's a good way to look at it. Can you monetize this? And I think that that's a very important question. I think that's a thought that they all should have. But more than that, I think that you're right, that it is very intriguing and fascinating to me, because I am a creative person. I do not like to be boxed in. You called me on that. You got that. But more than that, I'm really into self, right? I'm into people being who they really are, you know. And so the fact that these little young ones can express themselves in the way that they do, it makes me feel like they're more in tune with who they are and where they're going than like we were back at their age, you know, because we was always just trying to meet a mark, like what expectations were put on us. It's like they threw all that out the door and they create their own. And I think that is the most fascinating to me. You know, not necessarily the way that they dress as much. I think it's what the way that they dress and the way that they get out there. I think that speaks volumes to me, because it says that, you know, I'm my own person and it's about me and how I feel and what I want, you know, more so than these expectations that has been put on us. So it's like, I don't care who you want me to be. This is who I am. And I think that what sent me over the top more than anything, you know, as far as like why I'm so excited about it.
I'm excited too, as long as I don't have to support you.
So when you say as long as you don't have to pay for it, huh? I know that's right.
As long as I don't have to support you. I might be paying for it in taxes if for a period of time while you basically have to get some government assistance to keep a roof over your head or food on your table. I'm cool with it. I don't mind that. But if you're living under my roof, we're going to have an understanding about how much time I'm going to give you while you are my grown dependent, maybe eating more of my food than I am until you able to.
Okay, so you say, I don't have
I'll let you dress like that and come and work for them.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you a chance to be independent with your creativity. But independence relates to money to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to give you a period of time to do that if you live in under my roof. I'm not just going to say you're out of high school, you got 30 days to be able to become a millionaire, because that's not realistic. That's not fair. People should be able to follow their dreams, but life has a way of telling you if your dream is going to be something that needs to be supported for a long period of time, in which case you got to figure out another income source, because that's not going to be me. Or you just may be so blessed that given 18 months, you're making more money than me.
Okay. And I would agree that
at the right plan.
Yeah. And I would agree they do need to know how to sustain themselves. Of course, yes. That's without a doubt. I also believe that a lot of them, you know, like a lot of our young people, they get these, you know, they little entrepreneurs. A lot of them are starting their own businesses and doing their own thing, just the same way they take all these risks when it comes to how they dress and the different things that they, you know, showing their creativity on that side. It shows up with them as far as how they are managing themselves as far as their career. Because a lot of them don't want the basic careers that we grew up on, like, I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be a lawyer. You know, they inventing new things, you know, and they coming up with a whole bunch of new things and new opportunities that does not necessarily box them in as far as how they dress and how they look. So, but if that's not lining up, then, hey, you got to get on the bandwagon, you got to do what you got to do. I agree. So, yeah, that was a lot. Okay, so what do you say if you have your son. Like me myself, I have an 18-year-old. So as a parent, does it bother you if you have a son that's probably dressing other than what you're used to? Is that something that you think you can support and embrace, and or would you base it all on the finance, like far as like as long as you can get a job, as long as you can take care of yourself, then it's acceptable. I don't have a problem with it. But the minute it starts to get in your way, as far as your finances and you growing out here in the world and finding your way as far as making you some money, then yes, I got a problem with it. Is that what you're saying? Like,
maybe yeah, maybe no. It's hard to say. My perspective is you try to raise kids to be productive, to be independent, and to start off life with no deficits that you could prevent. In other words, no criminal record, no drug addictions or addictions of any type. You know, they're educated. You know, they know how to manage money. They know what credit is. They know basic stuff like that. To me, that's your job as a parent, to get them to that point. Once you've gotten them to that point, then they make independent judgments about what they want to do. And I don't necessarily have to. I don't even have to necessarily like it. It wasn't my job for them to be little clones. You know, I may like more if it's some things than others, but that's the risk you take when you become a parent. You don't know if they're going to follow your path because you're trying to raise them to be independent. Because otherwise, raising them to live in your basement or in your garage until they're 47, because it might be that long before they really figure out what they want to do and be able to get it systematized to a point. No parent I know wants that.
That's true, and we know we've seen that, y'all. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So basically, you want to be able to raise them to be independent, and as long as they're independent enough to be able to, with this lifestyle, with this look, be able to pay bills that are independent of yours, they can be that way forever. Whether I like it or not, I voice my opinion whether I like it, but if you're independent, you can take care of yourself, and you're not doing anything that's morally repugnant or illegal, what am I to say?
All right, I like that. So, I really like that because there's a lot of people who, specifically men, you have some women, let me not you say that, but I hear mostly a lot of men that have a problem with their sons dressing what they call a little more feminine. Because a lot of men, especially a man's man, does not believe you should be showing your figure like that. Like they can wear a shirt, you know, a tight shirt and show their chest and show their muscles. They feel like that's fine. But when you start wearing, you know, the skinny jeans, you show your little bump back there, and maybe you work out, show your legs. I know a lot of men that have a problem with that. And I just can't understand for the life of me why. Like, it's just the way he expressed himself. Like now, if we pay attention, you have a lot of men that is more into the tailored suits, right? Whereas before, back in the day, it was a lot of baggy suits, a lot of bigger suits. They wasn't really made to fit. Whereas now, they're fitting them, and I like that look. I think it looks really nice. It does not work for everybody the same way loose clothes don't work for everybody. I think you should dress according to your body shape, of course. But those that can pull it off and they look really good, like a good example to me would be like Will Smith. Will Smith to me, and I'm not going to say he brought this, but that's the first one I identified with, was the way that he dressed. And he was a little more tailor-made, where his clothes wasn't like hugging him tight, but they were fitted to his body, to as you can see his physique. You can see his body type. And I just thought it was sexy. Now, you have a lot of women that may think that that's feminine, but I don't. So I'm wondering, what is the real problem with the way people dress? Like, why is that a real problem? You did hit on one as far as, like, the careers and, you know, fitting into the career world. I would agree. But I'm hoping we can even break that chain just the same way it was not once okay for an African-American woman to wear her fro or to wear braids. You know, that was frowned on. You had to straighten your hair and sit in and look like everybody else. But today, we moving away from that, and it's like we free to express ourselves. We want to go in there with two pom-poms, we can now. You know, if we want to go in there and pull out our fro, we can do that. So I'm hoping that at some point society will also change to whereas your careers will be based on your knowledge and what you can do and your experience, not so much how you look. So you might come in here with purple hair, but if you bad on a computer and you know what you're doing on a computer and you can do the job, it shouldn't matter that you got purple hair on. If you're going to be doing security or you're going to be doing whatever job it is, a doctor, a lawyer, it should not matter. Well, maybe let's not say doctor or lawyer because I guess you got to have you got to be professional. But I'm hoping we could change that whole statistic of having to be like everybody else. I'm hoping that we could welcome them in and let them be themselves, no matter what career they step into. Like now I have a doctor who's a young guy, and he likes to dress, and he's really swagged out, and I enjoy him. Do I think that, oh, man, he might don't know his stuff because he dressed like this and he acts young? No, he does well for me. He knows his job. I have not had any problem with him, so I don't care what he dressed like. You know, I don't really care as long as he can do his job. Do you think that we could possibly get to that point one day where these little ones don't have to dumb themselves down or lose their creativity as far as expressing themselves and still be able to go into any field because they have the knowledge and experience to do the job?
Well, my perspective on that is the group you're trying to be part of, whether it's your hairstyle, whether it's your dress, whether it's your way you talk and express and communicate yourself, if the group you're a part of is large, united, and financially powerful and support each other, you can be any way you want to be because that group will support you. That group will have your back. And if you got the back of enough people with enough power, you do what you want to do within the confines of your dress or your speech or your hairstyle.
Yes. See, that's all I'm saying. Like, let's just give these little ones the freedom to be who they are.